Okay, we're here in the middle of Walmart. Don't mind us, just standing here. We want a watermelon that is uniform in shape and heavy. With most of your fruits, you want heavy fruits. So let's look at this one. This one is not a very uniform watermelon. You can see it's got indentions and stuff. You don't want that. So
Goodbye.
Set that aside. This one we don't like because there's really no spot. So you can have a white spot and a yellow spot. You actually want a yellow spot on the bottom. This one does not have that. So that's going bye-bye. This one, you want to look for bigger webbing. See the little webbing all through there? You want to look for wider webbing. It's going to be sweeter. Not this one. So this one we like because it's uniform in shape. It's really heavy. It's got wider webbing. You can see the wider webbing throughout. It's got a nice yellow bottom. And the stem, you don't want a green stem. And then when I push on it, there's very little give. You don't want a lot of give. For me, I'm more of a texture person. And if it has too much give, it's going to be soggy. So this one I think is going to be a really good watermelon. So we'll take it home and cut it and we'll see how it ends up. Good cantaloupe. The way you pick a good cantaloupe is you want a brown color. We don't have a huge selection. These are pretty tiny, but we're going to go with what we have. You want pale green lines going through it. When you smell the bottom of the cantaloupe, you want it to smell like cantaloupe, like a yummy smell, and that's what it is. It's not moldy, it's not gross. You don't want indentions or bruises. I made the mistake of running to Costco. I just was really fast and I grabbed their 2-pack and I didn't even look at them, and they were like indented and totally gross when we got them home. But I live 40 minutes from Costco, so I didn't take it back. Anyway, so you don't want any divots or dents. And this one looks like a pretty good one. You want it a little squishy, but not squishy. You just want it to kind of push in a little bit, but not much, or it's going to be too gross and right. Again, on texture, I'd rather have less flavor, a little bit like not. I wanted to say softer. I don't want it soft. Firm, more firm, firmer. That. Anyway, so there you go. There's our cantaloupe. Smells good. I think it's going to be good. We have like pale lemons, dark lemons, some that have too much green, and I'll explain why you don't want those. Anyway, this one's too hard. You're not going to get much juice out of that, baby. This one still is a little bit yellow for me. This one is perfect. This is going to be a good juicer. It has a little bit of give. The skin is not too thick and it's more smooth. You're going to get a really good juice out of this. There's no green. This one has a thicker skin. This would be a good one if you need it for zesting. So this is the kind of lemon you want if you're zesting. This is if you're juicing. See the difference? This is smoother. This one's a little bit rougher. Okay, it's going to be interesting because our limes are not that great looking, but we're going to try to see if we can find a good lime in all of these. So let's see. You want to smell. Okay, right now I can tell you right now that is too hard. That's a good zester lime, but not a good juicing lime. So anyway, I'm going to try to pick one. We just don't have a great selection. You can kind of scratch the skin. Oh, see, that has a really good citrusy smell. It's got a softer skin, a smoother skin, and a little bit of give. So that's going to give me some good juice right there. So we're going to go with that. I didn't mean to just throw it. I kind of did mean to throw it in the cart, but I didn't really. Anyway, look at these. These are just overripe. They're going to be moldy here soon because they've been sitting here. It looks like they lowered the price. Limes have been going up quite a bit, but you don't want these unless you're using them like tonight. Even then, they're kind of getting overripe, moldy, like scarring. You're getting close to mold with that. So you don't want that. So you want, again, soft skin. Do the smell test, scratch it. Same with lemons, scratch it, see if you can smell that citrusy. This one doesn't really have a citrus scent. You don't want that. Anyway, so kind of similar things to the lemons. you're looking for with the limes. Okay, when you're choosing your strawberries, you want to look for mold. Like, you don't want mold. See, these are old. They have mushy spots, like bruising. They're moldy. Their stems are not, they're browning. Those are not good. Don't spend your money on those. Walk away. These are a little better. Now, are they perfect? No. But is it what we have? Yeah. Sometimes we just need strawberries, so you just take what you can get. So these have a nice green stem, and there's not a lot of bruising. There's no molding. They smell yummy, like they smell like strawberries, not like mold or like they're going old. Anyway, those are pretty good strawberries. So, I mean, look, still not great though, I'm not gonna lie. But I've looked through a lot. There's just not a great selection. But if you really need them, that's the best. Otherwise, you really want really green, bright stems, a nice shiny berry without the mold or bruising. Okay, we're back from the store. We have our fruit. I've said it before, I'll say it again, probably multiple times. I hate food poisoning. It's awful. Food poisoning actually almost took my life and the life of my baby daughter. Like, it's a serious, serious thing, and it's not fun. So I'm going to teach you how to wash your fruit. People mock me. I've honestly been mocked for years because I say, guys, wash your watermelon, wash your cantaloupe, wash your fruit, and they just laugh at me. But honestly, you don't want food poisoning. So I'm going to show you some tips on how to wash it, and then we'll cut into our watermelon and our cantaloupe, and we'll see how we did. Okay, so to wash our strawberries, there's one thing that you can do is to take 1/4 part of white vinegar to 4 parts, or 1 part vinegar to 4 parts water. So I did 1/4 of a cup of vinegar to a cup of water. And I'm just letting it sit here for like 20 minutes. You just let it sit. And then I'm gonna show you kind of the dirt that we have when we're done. Kind of see what you get off there. And then you're gonna rinse it in cold water. And you don't wanna wash your strawberries too soon. Like if you're not using them immediately, you don't wanna wash them because it will introduce more moisture and mold and things like that. They will go rotten much faster if you wash them too soon. So anyway, we're gonna be using these, so I'm just gonna wash them now. Another way that you can wash your strawberries is to take like a cup of warm water, or if you have a lot of strawberries, take 2 or 3 cups, whatever. It's 1 cup and 1 teaspoon of salt. That's the ratio. You want a warm cup of water and then your salt. You add your teaspoon of salt. So this is kind of like making Jell-O. You know how you put your Jell-O in your hot water and that dissolves it? That's kind of what you're doing. You're dissolving your salt. You're gonna let it cool and then add your strawberries. So this, I've been letting it cool. So we're gonna add the strawberries. And so, see, I would do more, but I just kind of want to show you. And we're gonna let those sit there for a few minutes as well. So those will sit there, and that salt water will help clean up those strawberries. And then we'll rinse them off with cold water. Okay, for grapes, you put your grapes in a bowl, you take a teaspoon of soda, and just kind of sprinkle it on. I'm gonna do the salt too, and a teaspoon of salt. And you're gonna sprinkle it on and try to evenly coat the grapes. That's a gross grape. I hate when I get gross grapes. So when I was growing up, we had our stake welfare farm project was a grape. I don't know, do you call it a vineyard? What's another word? I mean a vineyard, but that sounds like we're making wine at the church welfare farm. Anyway, so we used to go pick grapes, and I did it all the time, and it was so much fun. Every once in a while, we may have gotten in a little grape fight, and we may have gotten in trouble, but that's fun. Okay, so you kind of want to mix it around. I'm going to let it sit here for a minute and let the salt and the soda, it's going to kind of just, I know that seems weird, right? So, but we're going to let it get on the grapes, and it's going to help take some of the gunky stuff off of it. Okay, now, most things you read say use a little produce brush with cold water to wash your watermelon. Okay, I, 1, don't have a produce brush with me. 2, it says you don't have to use like soap, but I like to because I feel like I'm getting a cleaner watermelon, and then I'm gonna clean it off. So we clean our fruit because you're thinking, well, you only eat the inside of the watermelon, but the outside is gross. So think of, first of all, I was in a farm, right? And there can be contaminants there with bugs and just, okay, we don't even want to think about the gross stuff that can be in the farm that can spread contaminants. Not to mention then, you're picking the watermelon, it's going to warehouses, it's going to the stores, and all the people in the stores that are touching it. It's just gross. So we're gonna wash this, same with the cantaloupe. What I do is, we're gonna take it over to the sink. All right, so my watermelon's in the sink. I'm gonna take some cool water. I just have this Dawn power wash, so I'm just gonna spray it on, and I'm just gonna wash it down. Kind of like a little, like you're scrubbing a little baby. This watermelon's my baby. So we're gonna scrub this and get all the gross stuff off of it for a minute. Now, if you have a little produce brush, feel free to use it. I'm just gonna wash it, and then I'm gonna rinse it really well because we really don't want soap. Sometimes when I wash out my kids' water bottles, I'll use the soap and maybe not rinse it out as much as I should. And so they say, Mom, I couldn't drink my water because it tasted like soap. And I then say, wash your own bottle then. So there's that. You don't like it, wash it yourself. Okay, so see, you can almost hear the squeakiness now because, oh, look, it's clean. I am washing off the nasty. Can you hear that squeaky? That to me says clean. I don't know if it really is. I mean, I think it's clean. That just means to me it's clean. Okay, so then you just kind of wipe it down before we cut into it. You also want to make sure that your cutting board, your utensils you're using to cut it are really sterilized and clean before you cut into it. We're going to do the exact same thing with our cantaloupe. So I have a friend, because I told her about washing her cantaloupe years ago, and she told me, she said, every time I eat cantaloupe, I think of you and watching cantaloupe. And then inside she's mocking me, but it's fine because if it keeps you from getting sick, it's worth the extra step, right? And here's the thing, if you're not that worried about it and you don't really care, you don't have to wash your fruit. I'm just saying. I feel much better eating it when it's been washed. All right, same thing, we dry. Now we are ready to cut into our watermelon. All right. Now, guys, I hope this is good after I've been saying how I can pick a watermelon. Let me grab a knife. All right, now we're gonna cut the watermelon. There are lots of ways to cut watermelon. My brother-in-law has a certain way. I know there's a guy, we were at a youth activity and I was cutting watermelon. He's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm cutting watermelon. He's like, that's not how you cut watermelon. So he has a way, maybe I'll have to have him on and show us how he cuts his watermelon. But I just kind of cut it, we like triangles, so I just slice it and then cut it in triangles. You can do whatever you want. Maybe we'll have a whole episode on how to cut watermelon. Okay, so let's look. Oh yeah, that looks like a good watermelon right there. It's crispy. It's juicy. We've got juice flying. Anyway. It's sweet. It's a really good watermelon. So we did a good job. Follow the tips on how to pick a good watermelon and you can't go wrong. Now, cantaloupe, we're gonna try our cantaloupe and see how we did with that. All right, so now here we have our cantaloupe. Let's cut up our cantaloupe and see how we're doing. The rind's a little bit green. A little green for my liking, but I actually like to cut my watermelon, or no, this is not a watermelon. I like to cut my cantaloupe in strips. I also like to not cut my hand off. It's nice. But anyway, just like thin. My kids seem to like it too. I used to kind of cut it up in chunks. You can also use a melon baller. There are all sorts of ways you can cut cantaloupe and fruit. Well, it's actually a really good cantaloupe. It's got a good flavor. It's got a good texture. So even though this rind looks a little green, it still tastes really good. So anyway, there's our cantaloupe. We picked them, we washed them. Now I'm gonna show you my strawberries now that they've been rinsing for a minute, and we're gonna see the dirt. In fact, I think I'm gonna put it into this little white bowl so you can see the dirt underneath. Let's see. So we've got some seeds. We're gonna rinse these babies off in some cold water. You want to rinse them really well because you don't want vinegar strawberries. Okay, so we're gonna rinse them and then we're gonna dry them. So you want to make sure they're really nice and dry. Anyway, and there are your clean strawberries, and we got rid of the kind of little nastiness that was on the outside of the strawberries. And then here are, I'm gonna dump this, and I'm gonna show you the salt bath. Let's try that one. So same. Oh, so you can see like the dirt over there. That was dirt that's settling down in there. So glad we're washing them. Nobody wants to like, nobody even just wants grossness. That's just gross. Maybe I have a little OCD. Just a little, it's fine. Oh guys, look. Wait. These were strawberries too. You can see the dirt that came off of it once you did that bath. So anyway, now our grapes are sitting here. We're gonna rinse these babies. And we'll drain them. Okay, you can kind of see the water is like kind of gross as well. And these we're also going to want to rinse well because you don't want baking soda, salt flavored grapes. So we are going to, I might drain a little bit of this so you can kind of see some of the dirt that went in. Okay, so there's our grapes. Maybe not as dirty as the strawberries, but still, that's not clear water. So we'll just rinse these off with cold water. And then, anyway, you want to give them a really good rinse. But that soda and the salt helps take off all the outside nastiness. Anyway. So there we go. We have our strawberries, our grapes, our watermelon, our cantaloupe, our lemons and limes. We showed you how to pick those out. You remember you want smooth. You want to scratch a little bit, smell it. If you get that citrusy lemon or lime scent, you know you're good to go. If it's a little bit squishy and the skin is smooth, it's great for juicing. If it's a little bit thicker, rougher outside, it's good for zesting. You don't want green on your lemons. You don't want any bruising or any molding. Look for molding as well. But anyway, hopefully that'll help you pick out some of your summer fruit. And we may do another batch of fruit in the fall. I'd really like to do a whole apple theme. And anyway, but as the seasons go on and the food is in season comes on, we'll do different little tips. But anyway, there's your fruit tip for today.